can hear me and if you can see everything with me and my screen as well. So just drop something in the chat, just say yes or no. Okay, good, great day greetings, good day greetings. Okay. Okay, sounds good. So today we are going to start with our next phase for the JavaScript, and that is that we are going to learn about loops and also objects and array. And in the tomorrow session, we will actually learn about the DOM manipulation and all. So today we will basically cover all the basics concepts. By the today we are just going to cover all the basic concept for any programming, and in the tomorrow session we are actually going to do the some cool JavaScript things and all. And after that, like on our fifth day, we are actually going to create a game by using all the knowledge and all the things that we have completed so far. So yesterday we just covered our functions, so let me just remove this, and let's also just create a blank HTML file here, and let me just write here loops. Okay, so this is our document. Let me just open our console so that we can see that what is the output that we are getting. So just click on this inspect here, and the next thing you have to do is to go to your console, and I feel like you are very much comfortable with all this by now, and let's just save it and save it here as well. Okay, so let's just learn about how we can do the looping and also what is loops first of all. So if you just want to repeat a part of code again and again on the basis of some conditions, so let me repeat a part of your code on some condition. So in that case you can use the loops here. So let me just write some hashes. So these are actually our loops. So we by the way, like if you're coming from any other program language, you have already some idea about the loops. So in JavaScript we have very different type of loops. So we are going to learn about 3 of them. First we will see how we can go with the for loop, then we will see while loop, and also then we will see the do while loop. So these are the 3 loops that we are going to learn in the today's session. So let's see about the very first loop, which is for loop. So for that, let me just write a line that I want to repeat. So console.log and repeat me. Okay, so this is the thing that I want to repeat, and I just want to repeat this 10 times for now. So how I can do this? For that I just need to write here for. Okay, so it's a for, you have to write this for, it's a keyword and it's a part of your syntax. Then after that use these curly brackets. Oh sorry, after that use these round brackets, and after that you have to use these curly brackets, and whatever you're going to write inside these curly brackets is actually going to be get repeated. So whatever you will write inside these curly brackets will get repeated, and they will be get repeated on the basis of some condition. So the condition is what we are going to write here. So let's just see how we can write these conditions. So here we need to write 3 statements. So here we have to write 3 statements. Inside this part we have to write 3 statements. So the very first statement is going to be a statement that will get executed on the beginning of your loop. So what is a statement? A statement is nothing but any line of code. Something, it is a statement. Console.log is a statement. So statement, or like, let me just write hyphen here. And this line, when you declare a variable like this, so this is a statement. So this is also a statement, and after every statement you can use these the colons if you want to, otherwise you can don't use them, it's not necessary. The only time with the colons are necessary if you write the statement side by side. So in this case JavaScript is little confused, like where this statement is starting and where this statement is ending. So we are starting our statement from here, but JavaScript cannot understand like where you have to end this statement. So that's why you have to put a colon here. Now JavaScript can very easily understand. So this is the statement, and then this is the second statement. Okay, so this is a so these are, any line of code is actually a statement. So here we have to write 3 statements. The very first statement that you will write is actually going to be get executed in the beginning of the loop. So loop have a life cycle actually. So the first loop will start, then loop will check, will do the condition checking and all. So loop will start, then loop will check for some condition, and if it gets true there, in that case it will execute whatever the code you have. Then it will just do something that you have written inside this condition. Then it will again check for the condition and all. So you'll see that it's not that difficult. So let's just write the very first statement. So for let me just write let I equals to 0 here. So it's the first statement, and this statement will actually get executed in the beginning of the loop, and it will just get executed once. So for the very first time it will just execute this statement, and then it will move to the second statement, and the second statement is actually going to be a condition like this. And if inside this condition if it gets true here, in that case it is going to execute the code that you have inside the block. So if it finds true here, then it will basically execute the code you have here, whatever the code you have written. And once it will finish all the code, so right now we just have a single line here. So once all the code inside this block is finished, then it will look for the third statement. And let me just write here the third statement. And for that, let me just write I equals to I plus 1. So this is a for loop now. So you have actually created a for loop. And now let me just tell you like why I have written these things here. So like why I have written this here for the very first statement, and this thing for the second statement, and this thing for the third statement. There's a reason for this. So the very first thing will just get executed once before the loop starts. So what I just thought, why can't we just declare a variable here? So just declare some variable here. And this part is very much important. So if you have a true here, in that case, it is just going to execute the thing that you have inside the block. So what I decided, like if I will write directly true here, in that case, it will forever repeat this code. So if I'm just going to save it, then I will basically fall into a infinite loop. So that's why I won't do this. And if it finds false here, in that case, it will just break the loop. It will just come out of it. So instead of writing true and false, what I decided that it will be better to write some kind of condition. A condition like, let's say, I less than equals to 10. So I'm just writing this condition here. And I have already declared the variable here. See, so I first declared the variable and I have written a condition here. So 0 less than 10. Is it true or false? It's very much true. So in that case, it will just execute the code you have here, right? And after this, so after the execution, it will just see the third part. So what you have in the third part here. So in the third part, I have basically updated the value of I. I just updated this variable value of this variable I. How? Like I equals to I plus 1. So I equals to what is the value of I? 0 plus 1. Now we have actually changed the value of I from 0 to 1 here. So now the value of I is 1. And after this, it will again check for the condition. So this time I is 1 and I like 1 is less than 10 or not. It is. So we'll get a true here. So it will again execute this code. And after this, it will again check for the after this. It will just again go to this part and it will again update the value of I by 1. So from 1 to it will become 2 this time, and then it will check for the condition again. So this cycle will repeat itself unless by incrementing I again 1 by 1. Now suppose the value of I is 10. So like suppose it executed the loop, it came here, and from here the value of I got 10. Then it will check for the condition. Now it says 10 less than 10. So it's very much false. A 10 is not less than 10. So we will get a false here and this loop will actually break. So let's see if we are getting our output or not. See, I'm getting this repeat me 10 times. So actually this thing is getting 10 times repeated here. It's better for me to just use the value I here as well. So every time I will just log out the value of I. So every time I'm just logging out the value of I. And as you can see, I'm getting a loop from 0 to 9 here. So this is how a loop works. So it's not very much important to write this thing here. If you wanted, you could have just removed this part from here, and you could have written this thing outside of it. It won't make any difference, because this line will just get executed one time before the loop. But you have to basically have an empty statement here. That means you need to provide 3 statements inside this for loop, and depending on these, it will basically perform the loop here. And it's also not necessary to write this thing inside this. You can actually write this anywhere. So you can write this inside of the loop. So like after completion of the loop, you can write this thing here as well, because this is the line of code. So suppose if you have multiple lines of code like console.log hello world like this, if you have something like this, so what it actually going to do, it will first do all the code that you have inside the block, and then it will basically, so after this it will come here. So after executing these 2 lines, it will come here. So if you wanted, you could have kept it after this as well. It won't actually make any difference. See, it's again, I'm getting the same output here. Let me remove this. See, I'm again getting the same output. And this part is very much important. You have to write some sort of condition, and always keep in mind that don't write some sort of condition that will result in true forever. Otherwise you will actually fall into an infinite loop. So this is a general convention that we always follow, that always keep these 2 things inside of your for loop here. So this is how our loop works. So let me just repeat myself once again so that you can have again idea. So it's not while loop, it's for loop. Okay, so this line will get execute just once before the loop. Then it will check for the condition. If it finds true here, it will actually execute this code. So it will get actually inside of it. So let me just draw something here. Then it will check for the condition. And if the whatever, so then it will just go here in the third part. You can write whatever you want to write here, but we generally write some sort of thing which will eventually cause our condition to become true. So what I mean by this, write a line here, write some sort of line here that will cause our condition to become false after some time. So otherwise you could have written anything. Let's say it doesn't matter that you need to write this. You could have actually written console.log here. Console.log here, I am 3, or third statement. Now, but you can do this, but now we are in a huge trouble, because now this condition will always be true, because we are not writing something that will make this condition false. So let me just write that condition here, I+1, and save it. And you can see in your output, I'm getting this. After the loop here, it is executing this third statement. So whatever the thing you have written inside of it. So don't do this. Basically just go with the very simple things and just keep it here. And that's it. So this is how our for loop works. Yeah, there's one more thing. If you want to increment a value of a variable by 1, instead of doing this, you could have written I++. So this thing will actually do the same thing. It will just increase the value of your variable by 1. So you can do this, right? So just let me know if you got this. And if you just understood this, then our loops are completed, because while loop and do while loop are actually some modification of this for loop only. Okay, that's great. Is there anybody who just want me to repeat any part of this? And let me just tell you that this thing will just get executed only once. So console.log before loop here. So this thing will just get executed before loop and just once. See, before loop, and it will just get executed just once. So that's why we write something like some declaration and all, but it's not that important, as I have already told you. And the thing like that thing I++ here, so this will actually execute after the loop. So let me just write here console.log here, so that you can also see it. Console.log after the loop, after each loop, actually after each loop. See, before loop then after each loop this third part is actually getting executed. So that's it. And if I just write true here, now we are in a huge trouble that it is actually going to be a loop forever. Yeah, that will also do the trick. You can also do this I plus plus or plus plus I, and let me just write this here. And as you can see, before loop, after each loop, after each loop, after each loop. Okay, so now let me just rewrite this whole thing in a simple manner, and let's just convert this thing to a while loop. Now let's see what is a while loop. While loop is actually an extension of the for loop here. So it's actually same as the for loop. So now I can remove this. So let's just convert this thing into a for loop. As I have already told you that it's not necessary to write this condition here. So let's see how we can convert a for loop to a while loop. The very first thing you have to do is to, instead of for, just write while here. Then okay, the very first thing you have to do is to remove this part from here to outside of it, and the third and the last part you have to write inside your block of loop after your code here. And then you can just remove these unnecessary colons and just rewrite this to while, and that's it. So this is a while loop. So inside the while loop you just have to write the true and the false part, and the first and the last part you have to write somewhere else. So if I write here, if I provide here true, in that case this loop will continue forever. In that case this loop will continue forever. And if I write, let's say, false here, in that case this loop won't actually get executed even once. So let me just write some sort of condition like this. So it's same as the for loop. The only difference is we don't have three statements here, we just have a single expression. The expression is a thing that will result in some value. So you just have to write some single expression, and that's it. So this is all about the while loop, and I hope you understood this. Like इसमें और कुछ भी नहीं है. Now assignment, we have to write code in which अरे भाई क्या बात कर रहे हो JavaScript. Using let for declaring is important, or what, sir? If you declare this with const, then just let me tell me what will be the problem if I do it like this. Remember, if you declare a variable with the const, you cannot change it. So here I'm changing the value of I by 1. I'm increasing the value of I to 1. So that is not possible because I'm declaring this with using const here. So it's better for me to use let, otherwise I won't be able to increase the value. Modify to be exact. Okay. Yeah, Rohit, we will actually have some use cases. Value of I will never change. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's great. So this is all about the while loop, and now let's see what is do while loop. Do while loop is going to be same. Just remove this while from here and just write it here after the block, and in the starting you just need to write do, and that's it. So this is a do while loop. So it's a different syntax here, but there's a difference between the do while do while loop and for loop and the while loop. And the difference is, like, even if I write here false, so in this case let's just see, so I'm getting the output 0 1 2, right? So even if I write some sort of condition which is false, so let me just write directly false here, this loop will get executed once no matter what I do. So if I write false in the while loop like this, see, I'm let me just save it now. ये वाला कहाँ से आ रहा है? Oh, sorry. See, in the case of while, if I write here false, this loop will never get executed. So hello, let me just write here hello. So see, this loop is not even getting executed, but if I just write some sort of condition, it is getting executed 3 times. But in the case of do while, what is the difference? In the case of do while, like, even if the condition is false, this loop will get executed once. So even if I write here false here, this loop will get executed once. And the reason is because JavaScript will read your code from top to bottom, right? So what will happen? It will declare the variable done. Then it says do, okay, then do this thing, do console.log, okay, increase the value of I, okay, while false, okay, oh shit. So you have already executed the thing, but JavaScript will realize that the condition is false after executing the loop once. So that's why in the case of do while, you always execute the code even if the condition is false. So it will just do the mistake only once. After this it will just realize, okay, so we have a false here, so it won't repeat this. Otherwise, if you just write some normal condition, it will just behave normally. So if you have some normal condition, it's just going to behave normally. Yeah. So difference between let and where. Raja, I think I will just try to explain this on our 5th day, because it's a kind of little advanced concept. While loop is be used, no, it's actually depend on the requirement. It's not like that you just use any one kind of loop. It just depend on the requirement that you are actually creating. So what is the project that you are working on, it depends on that. So if this do while loop is completed, then we can wrap it. So just let me know if you understood. Yeah, Pranjali, yeah. So now you also know the reason why do while loop will execute even once, even if the condition is false, it will execute the code once. And now you also know the reason, like what is the reason why it will happen. Okay, so just let me know if you understood all the 3 loops, so that we can move to our next part. Okay, sounds good. Everybody, anybody who just want me to just, someone who just want me to repeat all this, you can just drop me a message, because we have covered this loop in a very small, like very बहुत जल्दी हो गया है तो. Okay, sounds good. So now let's just see about the objects and array. So what is an array? So suppose if I want to store multiple names, so I have name 1 and let's say John here. Then I have another name 2, Jane, and Jack, and let's say, let me just have name 4 as well. So now as you can see here, like every time I just want to create a new name, I need to create a new variable, right? So why can't we have a single variable for all these values? So in these kind of situations we create an array. So what is an array? Array is just a collection of some data. So let me just create an array. So just type here const or let, it doesn't matter, arr, or like any variable name. So let me just go with names here. And what we have to do, instead of giving it a value directly like this, just use the square brackets. So just use the square brackets, and now inside this square brackets you can have as many values you want. So let me just have a first value, let's say John here, John, and you can have as many values you want, and it doesn't matter, these values should be of number, string. So now as you can see, I have 4 values here. All the values should be separated by comma. And if I'm just going to log it out for you, let's say console.log names, and as you can see, I'm getting all 4 names here in the form of array here. So John, Paul, George, and Ringo, whatever the name is. Now suppose instead of actually getting all the values, if you just want to get a single value, suppose if you just want to get Paul, so because right now we are actually getting the whole array. So if I do the console.log for the names, I'm actually getting the complete array here. And suppose, where are you from, Sanjay? I am from Indore. Yeah, Shweta, let's see if we have time enough, we will do that. Okay, so now as you can see, we have all this. So suppose if you just want to access any one of the values, so how you can do that? So every value you have here is going to have a index number, a unique index number, and the unique index number will start from the 0. So it will have the 0, 1, 2 and the 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And suppose if you just want to access this Paul, so for that we need to use this index number, which is 1 here. So console.log, and after that you have to use this square bracket, and inside this square bracket you can mention the index number of the element that you want to access. And if I'm going to save it, you can see that I'm just getting the Paul here. If I write let's say 0, I'm getting the John. And if I write here let's say this 3 or 2, so I will get the George here, George. So this is how the arrays works. And if you just want to see the length of an array, for that just type here name of your array dot length, and by this you can actually get the length of your array like this, console.log, and see it is saying that length of the array is 4 here. So just write here an array name dot length, and you will actually get the number of elements that you have inside that element, that array. Okay, array. Yeah, what is the question? So it's array. Yeah, it's array. How we can get this 2 index at the same time? You just have to repeat this. So this is the one of the easiest way if you just want to get 2 elements, or you can just write it like this. See, but in this case it will just give you the thing from this. So if I can write here let's say 0 to 3, if I save it, and 2 to 3, ये मैं बहुत rarely use करता हूँ, to 2 to 1. So this is what you can write, like I have never used it. So you can basically specify the 2 numbers and accordingly it will just give you. So let me just recap, like I haven't used it a lot actually. So it is just going to give you the George and 0 and 2. Yep, so basically you can just get the 1 for now, and if you just want to get 2, you just use this. I'll see now how you can get the 2 elements, and I will let you know by tomorrow, because we generally use this one. And like in my total career I haven't tried to access 2 values at the same time, and even if you want to access the 2 elements by the same time, you can just do this. So it's very rare that you want to access the 2 elements. So this is the one of the way, or you have some more data structures to get that. Okay, yes, slice is a different thing. Slice, if you want to just so these are some functions. We have map, array, reduce, slice, for each and all, and split. So these are the very different kind of functions that we have on the array. So we will cover these things, but like as I told you, like it's just an essential session. So let me just try to cover some of the basic things that you can have. Like let's just cover the push first. So suppose if you just want to add some more element to this array, you can just use the push. So just type the variable name for your array and just type here push, and let me just write here let's say a, and now it will actually get added to your array. So let me just write let's say console.log names, and as you can see now this a is also a part of our array. Same you can do this with pop. Pop will actually remove the item from your array from the very end. So whatever the last item you will have, this array.pop will actually remove that. So these are the 2 functions. Then we have for each. So if you want to loop over this array, so in JavaScript we have many different ways to do that. So the very first way is to use the simple for loop here. So this is actually people use in the other programming language like this. You can create something like this, I less than names dot length here, then just do I plus plus, something like this, and then you can do this. So we are actually looping over our array. So let me just tell you how this thing is working. So I'm creating a variable with the value 0. Then I'm just going to repeat this code till the length of my array. So until our length of the array. And after every loop, I'm increasing the value of 5. So that's it. And inside my console.log, I'm accessing the each and every variable again and again by using this names.i here. So this is one of the way to loop over our array. So I can just save it and see I'm looping off our array. And this is what you can use, but in JavaScript we have something easier, and that is just type the name of your array, just type for each like this, for each here. And how this thing works, so what this will do for each, inside this you have to pass a function name. So let me just create a function here, fun, like this, and inside this let me just write, let's say console.log hello, and let's just remove this for now, and let's just write this function name here. So let's just understand how this thing works. So array dot for each, and just write a function name. Any function will do the trick. So you just need to create a function and just pass the function name here. And what will happen, that this for each is going to execute this function again and again every time for every element. So for this element it will execute this function, for this element it will again execute this function, for this element it will do the same, and for this it will do the same. So for every element it will execute this function for you. And as you can see, so let me just show this thing in output. So see, I'm getting hello 4 times because we actually got so see, I'm getting hello 4 times here because we were just having the 4 elements. And the fun part is that inside this function you can have a parameter here. You can name this parameter anything, here. So for now I'm just writing this el, and inside this el you will actually get the element for which this loop was getting executed. So let me repeat myself. This for each is going to call this function, again and again every time for each element. So for each element it will execute this loop. So suppose in this case, so the very first time it for each will call this function for the John, and it will actually pass this value here. So inside this element you will get John. Then it will repeat the same thing for the Paul, and in the Paul time you will get the el as the Paul. Then it will do the same for George, and third one for the Ringo. So this is how the for each works. So we have so many functions for the array in JavaScript. It will visit all the elements one. No, you cannot stop the for each. You can basically, no, you cannot. So once you started the for each, it will actually work throughout your array. We can, yeah, you can use a single quote as well, double quoted. Well, it's not that much of issue here. Okay. So now I think you got this. Anyways, this was not our part of our actually the course. I just added it on the demand. Map and filter, yeah, there are so many functions, but we cannot cover all of these. For that you have to join to our complete course, because it's actually a little what you say, it will be little too much to cover each and everything here, right? Okay, and now let's just move to the next part, which is objects. What is that arrow symbol? Oh yeah, sorry function fun. Okay, so this is how we create function. That was the arrow function. So like I have just created a function, and then you just need to pass the name of the function, and inside this you will get the element every time. So that was actually a different way to write the function. Alternate code, I couldn't understand like what you're trying to say. Can we pop the element? Yeah, you can do that by using splice. We have so many. We'll cover that. Let me just cover the objects, then we will do that. Actually, in the tomorrow session we are going to use these topics in the tomorrow and the 5th day. Okay, so let me just cover what is an object. So object is also going to do the same thing for us. So if you want to have some multiple type of values inside the same variable, you can use that. So suppose if I want to store a detail for a person, so suppose name 1 John here, and the age of the John, let's say 22. Then let's have some job it like this. So job 1, age 1. Yeah, and suppose again I want to save some values for a user, so like this Steve, then some, and like this. So now every time I just want to save the detail for a person, I need to create three variables, for one for name, age and job, name, age and job, and I'm actually mentioning some numbers here, which is not that easy to manage. So instead of doing this, what we can actually do, we can create an object. So object, it's actually a way to save some multiple values inside a same variable. So object have so many definitions. It depends like what you are actually doing. Some people call it a real world entity in the case if you are using the object oriented programming, but in JavaScript you can just use them to store some multiple values inside a single variable. Later as you will basically do some more JavaScript, in that case you can just use it more professionally. But for let's see how what is the object and how we can create it. So just type const or let, both will do the trick for you. Object name, so let me just write here, let's say details equal to, and this time use the curly brackets here. An object will have a key and a value pair, a key and a value pair. So inside this details, let me just write a key name. After that you have to use the colon and then the value like this, John, like this. Then you can have a comma if you want to add more key value pairs here. So let me just add one more key, let's say age and the job web developer. So now in this single variable I have stored all the details here. So let me just write, let's detail one, or let's say details of John here, like this. So instead of using this you can use this, and now I can remove this. Okay, so a name of an object, then it is going to have a key value pair. So inside this you can declare a key and a value, key and a value, key and a value. Value can be anything, it can be a number, boolean, string, whatever you like, whatever the requirement is. And now if I will just do the console.log for our object here, let's see what we are getting. Details of John, and let me just save it and say I'm getting a complete object here with the age, job and the name. But suppose if you just want to you don't want to access the whole object, if you just want to get a single value, how you can do that? It's again going to be very easy, and that is after the name of your object just use dot, and after that you can mention the key that you want to access. Suppose I just want to access the name and just save it, and I'm just getting the name here. I can do just this age as well. So now I'm getting the age only, and I can do this with the job as well, and I'm just getting the job here. So this is how this object works. So in the case of object, just write the object dot and the key that you want to access, and that's it. So this is all about the objects. And now let me just create another object. Let's say details for Steve. Like this. ये Copilot को क्या हो गया? Steve. Then you can have, let's say, age 23 and web designer, and let me just do the console.log for this. So this is how we can do this. How can we get a single value? How we can get the two values at the same time? So that is not possible to get the two values at the same time. Again, like it's not possible here, I know this, and I am not sure like why you want to access the two values at the same time. So if you just want to access the two values, just do this. So it will just locate that, so inside this memory heap and also it will just give you the single value. So just do this once again. So that's not a concern, like why you want to access the two values at the same time. It's not useful at all, like where you will use it. If you want to access the two things, you have to do something like this. Okay. And now the very interesting part about the JavaScript object, and that is you can also have functions inside of it. So inside this you can also have a function. So this is what we call as properties. But you can also have some functions inside of it. And how you can have functions? Just write here any name that you want. Let's say hello. Just use the use colon here and just type function, like normally you were actually do. The only difference is in the function that you will create inside of an object, you will write the name here instead of here. So if we define this function outside an object, in that case you will write the name of the function here, but in this case you have to write the function name here before that, and inside this you can write anything. Let's say hello, I am John, and just save it. And now let's try to call this function. So before that, let me just log it out for you. Console.log and details of John. Just save it, and you can see I'm getting the whole object, but you can see I'm also getting this say hello function. I'm also getting this say hello function, and you can see this is special symbol which says that this thing is a function. A function inside of an object have a special name. We call these methods, and by the way, it's just a function. It's just a fancy name to call them objects. Anyways, it's just a function. And now just try to guess how we can access this function. Just try to guess this. We can add, yeah, you can add as many keys you want. Objects are same as functions. No, objects are very different here. How to access just the key itself? Like this, no, it's not possible. So if you want to access this, you have to use the object here. We can change the key value. Yeah, you can change it. So we will change it now. Yeah, hello. Okay, right. So just type here, say hello, and save it. And I'm getting the function here. So if I do this, console.log details of John dot say hello. So I'm getting the function here, but this is not we wanted. We wanted the output of this function. So all we have to do, first of all, remove this from here. Just type here details of John, say hello, and it is a function. To use a function, we need to call it. And how we can call the function? By just putting these round brackets, and just save it, and I'm getting the output from this function. Now John is saying, hello, I am John here. Hello, I am John. So this is how you can write the functions inside of an object, and that's it. So and these are the actually normal functions. If you wanted, you can also have some parameters and argument. So this function can also accept the parameter, let's say greeting, and you can write here, let's say hello, and let me just use the greeting here. Greeting, like this. It's a normal function, it's not anything new, it's a normal function, hello. And I can call this function with different values. Let's say namaste. I'm getting namaste, I'm John. Right? So this is very much possible. It's a simple function. At the end of the day, it can also accept the parameter. It can also return something. If you wanted to, it can also return something, but that much we are not going to do today. In the tomorrow session, we are actually going to use all this. Can you explain the arrow function? Okay, let me try. Like the thing is, okay, so let me just tell you how we can use the arrow function. So in JavaScript, there are different ways to create a function. So this was the very first way. So suppose if you want to create a function sum, so you can create it like this. So let me just write here, let's say a comma b, and this will just console.log a plus b for you, like this. So this is a one way to write the function, but then we have one more way, which is we call this arrow function. So how we can define the arrow function? Const, then you have to write the name of function, sum. Just put a equal, then these round brackets, then you have to create this arrow. How we create this arrow? It's a equal sign and a lesser than sign. Equal sign and a greater than sign, sorry. Equal and the greater than. And actually my VS Code have some settings, so it will just make this arrow. And after this you can have your bracket, and it is, so both these things are actually same. Both these things will give you the exact same result. And you can here let's say const and let both will do the trick. Okay, so these are actually called the arrow functions. And yeah, sorry, I forgot to pass the parameters here. And this is how you can pass the parameters here. So it's a little, it's the latest way to write your function. It has some features like that. If you just have a single argument, in that case you don't have to specify anything, these brackets. If you have just single line of code, again that you have to don't use, then you don't have to make use of this return this curly brackets and all. So let me just tell you what are the features. Suppose this is a function which will return you a plus b, a multiplied by b square. Let's just create a function square, and this function will take a single parameter and it will just return us the square of that number, and that is obviously multiplied itself. Now let me just create a square, a function with the arrow. Num multiply by none. So these are the actually same functions, but there are some features in Java's arrow function, like if you have a single line of code, in that case you don't have to use the return here. You can directly write it like this. And also if you just have a single argument here, and then you don't have to use the parameters, and this is actually same as this. So it's advanced, little bit more advanced, and actually the main difference is in the this keyword. So there is a this keyword in JavaScript which is different for these functions. So, and obviously we cannot cover this keyword in this session, so obviously I won't be able to tell you this. So it's an arrow function. For that, like if you want to know more about JavaScript, this newer syntax, how you can land a job and all, you can just visit our website anytime. So we have our website here. So just go over here and just open this refer link, this one, refer 20. And right now we, as I've told you already, like we have a 7,000 rupees off on our all the courses. So just use the coupon code refer 20 and you will get the discount of 7,000 rupees on our data science program and on our web development program. The duration is 6 months. You will land a job after this. The prices are less than 30,000, like which is actually very cheap, and the value it is going to provide you is actually going to change your life. Just choose the program that you want to pursue in your life. If you want to become a data scientist, you can just choose this one. Or if you want to become a full stack web developer, like front end, back end and all, so in that case you just choose this one. And the prices are very low right now, so just don't forget to use the coupon code refer 20. And you can also refer our courses to someone who may need it, and on every refer you will get some amount, and on your 8th refer you will actually get the 80,000 rupees or a MacBook Air. So so this much is where I think it's a lot that you are just getting for only less than 30,000 to be exact. And how you can enroll it, you can just click here. And by the way, don't forget to mark your attendance. We have these one links. Just click here, and you can just select the day. So right now we are on the day 3. Just click on this mark attendance, select how much you like this session on the scale of 0 to 10. I'm just going to go with 10 here. And if you're interested in our full stack program, so we are talking about these two programs here, so just type yes or no. If you are, just give a yes here. And then you have any suggestions for us, just give us some suggestions, and that's it. And you can also click here to talk to us on our WhatsApp, and we will help you to decide what course you should take and how you can get the course for yourself. If you're having any problem in getting the course, so you can just click here. So you will find the same link here on this thing, on the same page where you were at marking the attendance. You can also join our Telegram group and the WhatsApp group, and we are actually going to have all the doubt solvings. So if you have any doubts and all, you can join our Telegram group, and for all the notifications you can join our WhatsApp group and all. And after the 5th day you will get this download certificate button here. So I think that's it. So this section will start on so teach you on the basic no, in fun, actually the thing is in these 5 days it's very much impossible for me to cover the things for the 6 months, right? Like how I can cover all the things, all the advanced concept, basic concept for the JavaScript as well as for the other thing. Obviously we need a lot more time. We need 6 months, 8 months sometimes. So obviously we cannot do this in just 60 minutes of sessions for 5 days. And if we will do this for the very huge amount of time, then obviously then it's just going to be automatically, it will become a course. And in our course we will just give you 90 minutes of classes every day, and you can have your doubt sessions and all. So that's the deal. Like it's very much impossible, like it's not practically it's not possible. And all the free stuff that you find on the YouTube, that's very completely different thing. So they will not going to teach you the things that will properly land you a job. So because it's very difficult for us to teach the basics and the advanced at the same time. So the actual things that will help you in life to get a job and all. So that's it. I hope you are satisfied with my answer. Oh, methods in object. Yeah. Only one program we need to write the assignment. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay, so let me just recap the object method here. So you can create an object like this. Object can have a key value pair. So like this here. So let me just write my name. So if you have something like this, a variable and a value, a key and a value, we call this thing a property. But if you have a function, so how you can write a function? Just write the function name. Let's just say hello. Just write colon here, and after this you need to type the function keyword, and just type the function keyword here, and then use this round brackets. And it's actually same as the way you were defining the function outside of it. Like this we were defining the function, right? And we were having some name here, say hello, like this. But inside your method you don't define the name here, just write it like this. That's it. Now you can write all the logic of a normal function inside of it, or the logic that you have for any function. So so actually I was talking about this keyword, so I'm just going to remove it for now. Hello Sanjay, like this. And this is a simple function. It can also accept some parameters. If you wanted to, you can also return something from here. If you want to, you can return something from here. The only difference is how you can call this function. If you want to call this function, you have to make use of this object. Just type the object name and then the function that you want to call. So the function name, object name, and just use this brackets to call the function, and that's it. Just give it a quick save, and I'm getting the output here. Okay. So I hope we have covered all the things now. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for attending. And from tomorrow we will do the JavaScript specific things. We are going to update our UI. We will basically change the styling. We will have some animations and all. We will basically set up some event listeners, so that user can click on something, user can do some actions on our website, and we will respond accordingly, because you have all the basic understanding of the programming and the JavaScript. So for that, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye and take care.